Hi, I just thought I'd do a quick video about masks, and also we'll use the assets that came free with the 1.9 version, and we'll go through how to, instead of just plonking them on your screen, you can actually use a mask and a brush to paint them on in various degrees of intensity. So here I've got a picture of the river at Tewkesbury. We're looking downstream across the Han. And first thing I'm doing, because I'm going to add rain or snow to this, first thing I'm going to do is darken it. So we're really going to, crudely darken it. So I'm going to go for a curves adjustment using the master channel. We're just going to pull the whole thing down, make it nice and dark so the rain or snow shows up. And I'm going to try and exaggerate the effect of what I'm going to do. We'll just actually clip that to that layer to get it out of the way, because you want to have a look at the layers panel as we go along. Right, then I'm going to go and get some of the new overlays that came with 1.9. So we go View, Studio, Assets, pull the toolbar out. We're on rain, so let's go for actually no, this is falling snow. I want something pretty intense. What's that? No, that's no good. Let's have a look at the rain ones. Radiant light, sunlight, no. Rain overlays. Downpour sounds about right. Yeah, don't like that either. Deluge sounds more like it. Yeah, that's a bit better. Right, we'll just resize that. Okay, and there you've got the thing. It's plonked on top of, in the layers panel over here, it's plonked on top of, oh, hang on a sec. We'll just pull that out. Right, it's on its own layer now. It's plonked on top of the layers as a separate layer. It actually imported it clipped to the background, which I don't want. And as you can see, you can alter the opacity of it, take down the opacity, but it affects the whole thing. So what if we wanted a slightly more subtle effect than that, i.e. for the rain to show up less on the portions of bright sky and cloud, and more against the much darker background of this cloud up here and the bank and the river in the foreground. So we can do that with a mask. So what we'll do is we'll add a mask. And as you can see, it's come through white, which means it's revealing everything. So we're going to invert that and go Command I on the Mac, and it disappears. Okay, then we're going to get ourselves a paintbrush, and we're going to check that we're painting in white. Remember, white reveals and black conceals. And we're going to increase the size of the brush. Actually, we'll decrease it a bit from there. Can you see the rain turning up underneath the brush already? And right, I'm going to keep these set. I'm going to close the assets panel, and we've got opacity 100%, flow 100%, hardness 0%. Right, that's what we want. And I'm going to paint over with a nice soft edge brush here. Hardness is on 0%. The darker bits of the photo here. And now I'm going to decrease the opacity, because when you think about it, I'm going to exaggerate this a bit. I'm going to take it right down to 50%, and I'm going to take the flow down to 50% as well. the rain does show up less against bright sky than it does the dark bit. So remember, we got a nice soft edge brush. So I'm now going to paint over the lighter bits with a much lighter effect. Okay, and then to see what we've just done, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool here and make a black rectangle, and then I'm going to put it behind the rain and the mask. And you can see there how more intense it is at the top, and how the middle bit, which we did at the lower opacities, which I exaggerated a bit, is lower, and the bottom against the bank and the river is harder again. So we got hard, lighter, hard. So that's how you can use a mask to paint on these new assets. Right, we'll just turn that off. Right, now, looking at this picture, it seems to me that what it needs is a giant floating unicorn. So luckily, Affinity Photo has Unsplash built in, and if you do a search for unicorn, the first thing that comes up is a giant floating unicorn by Merritt Thomas. So we're just going to go back to the layers panel. Yeah, it's checked it on that. Right, now we're going to zoom out. Okay, and I'm going to reduce the size of this quite a lot. That's where we want it in the river. Then we're going to zoom in using the square brackets keys. Oops. Yep. Gonna have to use a magnifying glass, something's up. Zoom in on the unicorn here. And I'm going to use the selection brush to just, I'm going to zoom in a bit more than that actually. I'm going to use the selection brush to select out the unicorn here. Right, here we are, slight gap there. We got the picture of the unicorn on the river, and I'm now going to use the selection brush to select out the unicorn from the background. So actually maybe it'd be easier to select the background. Oh, I don't know. I'll just increase the size of the brush a bit, and then we'll start painting over the unicorn. Unicorn's very popular here in the UK at the moment due to Brexit. Right, and I want a bit of this water as well. So we're just going to change it to subtract, decrease the size a bit. It's selected off a couple of areas I don't want. Ooh, it hasn't selected the horn. What is the point of having a unicorn without a horn? And change back to subtract. I don't want that bit. Or that bit. Or that bit. Okay, this isn't a video about selections, but something funny going on there. There you go. There's a rough selection, which we want. So what I'm going to do is add a mask. So click the mask button down here. Okay, select it out, deselect, Command D. Let's zoom out, Command 0. And I want to knock back this area of water. I still want the sort of ripples it's created, but I want to knock it back. So we'll select the mask and we'll select a paintbrush, and we'll make sure we're painting in black, and we'll make sure our opacity is 50% and our flow is 50% about. Hardness we can decrease as well. I'll increase my brush size. I'll just start painting over this bright blue water to merge it into the background more. Actually, it needs a bit more merging than that. This is all very trial and error, you know. Let's increase the opacity and increase the flow a bit. That's a bit too much. You have to find your own sort of level. Right, that for the purposes of this video, that's good enough. We've still got a bit of a ripple around it. So there you go. That's some of the many ways you can use masks rather. Oops, I don't want to do that, do I? You know, your imagination is the limit, really. You can do just so much with masks that, I don't know, how can I describe it? Your imagination is what counts. And you can still go back, for instance, this deluge layer here, it still looks a bit, the whole thing still looks a bit strong to me. So I'm going to reduce the opacity just a bit. You see, even though we got the varied intensities, you can still operate on it as a whole. Yeah, and your imagination is the limit of what you can do with masks. Actually, that could do with a bit less opacity, couldn't it, really? Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Masks, assets, absolutely love them. Absolutely love Affinity Photo. Oh, I tried to do this on the iPad. I tried to do all this on the iPad version. But I found, and this is the first bug I've found in the new version of Affinity Photo, is when I added a mask, screen recording, the built-in screen recording in iOS 14.4 crashed every time. Or it might possibly have been a combination of curves adjustment and then adding a mask. But I spent a very frustrating afternoon, you know, running through the whole tutorial, only to find, I say tutorial, I'm not a teacher, I'm just showing how I use it. Only to find that the whole bloody thing had crashed and I had nothing saved at all. So I've had to move over to the desktop version to do that. I'm using an iPad Air 4. I wonder if anyone else can reproduce that. If you can reproduce that crash, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be most interested because, you know, obviously I want to know whether it's a general bug or whether it's my particular device. So that's it. Thanks very much indeed for watching. See you next time.